The Crucible and Hamlet. Tragic stories. Tragic literature is a written piece that consists of courageous, noble characters who must confront powerful obstacles, external or from within. This form of writing is presented as a play and uses danger, mythology, and violence to intensify its conflicts. Its story revolves around a noble hero who has one tragic flaw and a nemesis. The events in these stories outline the suffering caused by the flawed heroes, their errors in judgment, which eventually lead to a pitiful and tragic ending. No tragedy would be possible without a protagonist who the reader sympathizes with through the play. This noble hero possesses many admirable virtues and is often esteemed or admired by others. At least at the beginning of the play, he is held in high regard. However, he or she has one tragic flaw that blemishes his or her otherwise honorable personality. This flaw may be revealed as a negative character trait, such as weakness or misplaced anger, to name a few. The tragedy also includes a clear and threatening nemesis that the hero is conflicted with, an opponent that cannot be beat or overcome. In our society, there are many stories of people who are once looked up to for their acts of nobility, but then they have one tragic flaw, their nemesis. A great example of this is Lance Armstrong. He is a Tour de France champion who was very involved in his community for charity and volunteer work. He has overcome the obstacle of a battle through testicular cancer in 1997. However, this hero's tragic flaw is known as the drug controversy that ruined his career. Lance Armstrong was stripped of his 7 Tour de France wins due to the evidence of performance-enhancing drug use. This could be better considered as his nemesis in his life. The noble hero may begin with honorable intentions and the possibility of a good and rewarding life. However, it is not long before terrible errors in their judgment lead them down a dark and fearful path. As he exposes his tragic flaw and makes decisions based on the play, it intensifies and heightens. The audience feels pity for him as his world begins to come undone. Suffering from the train of events that takes place due to his poor decision and lack of control affect many others in the play, including innocent characters. These repercussions eventually destroy the hero. Tragic endings are guaranteed with these tragic plays. The scenes of suffering explain the unfortunate results of a story gone horribly wrong. The noble hero has reached the end of his story and is never victorious. There are many negatively affected characters by the time the curtain closes. The reader, who may have been rooting for the hero, only feels pity for the devastating conclusion. Arthur Miller's The Crucible and William Shakespeare's Hamlet fulfill the criteria for a tragedy. Both plays present a noble hero in John Proctor and the Hamlet. These two protagonists are highly regarded by others in the play. "My husband is a good and righteous man." Miller 1:13. A quote from Elizabeth explaining that John is a good man. Here Ophelia states that Hamlet is an honorable man. "My honored lord, I know right well you did." That's Act 3, Scene 1, line 104. They both possess a tragic flaw. Proctor commits adultery in a moment of weakness, and Hamlet has a desire for revenge. The next element of the tragedy is met in both plays and is persistent. It is the nemesis. Abigail, Proctor's mistress, incriminates many innocent people, including Proctor and his beloved wife, because of her recession of him with his affair. Claudius is Hamlet's nemesis because he marries his mother under suspicion of circumstances of murder. Claudius is constantly in conflict with Hamlet as the two race to be the first to destroy the other. Each of these protagonists also make huge errors in judgment. These introduce elements of fear and suffering to their plays. Although the Crucible begins with accounts of how highly regarded Proctor is in his community, he's also respected for his morals and the amount of land he has, but his character is literally on trial for the indiscretions. The lies that Abigail spins out of her jealousy for Proctor's wife encourages more wrongful accusations to be made and to destroy innocent lives. Hamlet is next in line for the throne and is respected militarily by many. The reader can relate to him, wanting to achieve justice for his father's murder. However, his many irrational actions and errors in judgment, like having Rosencrantz and Guildenstern assassinated and pushed away Ophelia, causing much suffering for her. The final events of a tragedy that require them to evoke pity and have a tragic ending is supported in the Crucible and Hamlet. The reader is painfully aware of the regretful nature of both plays in that Proctor and Hamlet both had the potential for great lives ahead of them. Proctor has 2 sons and a 3rd child on the way. He was highly regarded in the community and owned much land. Hamlet was in a loving relationship, had friends, and was the heir to the kingdom. These wasted lives evoke pity, which reaches its maximum point with the death of both men. Proctor chooses execution by hanging to maintain his beliefs, and Hamlet is ironically poisoned by a sword he intended to use on his own enemy. The research report proves that The Crucible and Hamlet are both tragedies, as they meet the criteria for tragedies that are highlighted. Both plays contain an honorable hero who has flaws and who is defeated by a nemesis. These heroes demonstrate many errors in judgment as they begin to spiral deeper into their suffering and the suffering of others. The experience is intense and full of fear as well. The reader's pity increases with every scene, and the tragic ending of both plays are characteristic of all tragedy in literature.